welcome to City Talk and City Walk. My co-host is still busy running around the city and other places in pursuit of her civic commitments and many, many administrative tasks. So we'll have to do without her, but we do miss Elsie Lopez Gonzaga here in our show. Well, we have been covering many important issues in this program, and we committed a significant time to discuss the epidemic-like incidence of diseases in our city and all over the world. We have tackled chronic kidney disease, and in our last segment we had Dr. Ces Mesias, who gave us such important information about why we should take care of our kidneys. Just to summarize, once you have chronic kidney disease, it is irreversible. So while you don't have it, take proactive stance. Again, let me remind you, the shortcuts to quenching your hunger or filling your stomach is also the shortcut to your life. So eating instant noodles is really a no-no. It is convenient, it is instant, but it is really very damaging to your kidneys. Why? As I have been pointing out in this show, ramen, deadly delicious, high salt, but most importantly, the noodles are really not edible for human beings because they are made of the same materials as Teflon, you know, the non-stick pans. Wow. So the next time you conveniently grab the instant noodles in your pantry, in your cupboard, stop, because that is planting deadly elements in your digestive system. Okay, the other segment, we started with our feature on a very interesting character in our city, and I have come to really know her as a friend and also as a fellow advocate for change, specifically about the lives of the poor in the city. But do you know what? She is, as we have revealed here in City Talk, City Walk, a retiree, one who worked in the US for a time and has decided to return for good. And let's find out more about her. But this segment, Beyond Retirement, and now, Beyond Cancer. The very interesting story of Marilu Neri Castor. Welcome to the show, Marilu.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Gonzaga. Thank you for inviting me this afternoon.
Okay, we'll shoot it.
Okay.
Beyond Cancer. Let me ask you first of all, why cancer? Why were you afflicted with cancer?
Well, my mother has 3 cancers. Yes. She survived. When she was 41, she had cervical cancer, stage 4. After 20 years, she had colon cancer. After 10 years, she had lung cancer. But she's still alive at the age of 90.
90?
Yes.
3 bouts of cancer. And
yes.
Was she ever free of these different types of cancer that afflicted her?
When she was diagnosed with cancer, when she was only 41, she was in remission for 20 years.
Remission for 20 years. That's extraordinary.
Yes, it's very extraordinary, but I believe it was more of a miracle from the Lord.
Why? Is she godly? Is she a woman of faith?
Well, as you know, we are not perfect, but as what God said, if we trust in Him, you know, as to the death of Jesus Christ, we have the righteousness. So she is actually a Christian, a very devoted Christian, and a very, very generous in helping poor people, and especially the pastors and the Bible women. So she was actually diagnosed with cancer, but you couldn't see it in her body or in her face. She continued in her faith,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
So
declaring
at
the
age
goodness of God.
41, how old were you then?
I was only 16.
Okay, at age 41, she was diagnosed with cancer of the cervix, and
Yes.
then she overcame that.
Yes.
And then at age what?
At age 61,
61,
yes, she got another colon cancer.
colon cancer.
Yes.
Okay. And when did she overcome this colon cancer?
She went through-
the first one is stage 4, cancer of the cervix.
Yes.
The second one was cancer of the colon, stage what?
Stage 4.
Stage 4 also.
Yes.
Wow.
Because in this country, we don't have what you call like,
Early screening.
early screening, or
Uh-uh.
we don't have any medical coverage for us to know at the early stage. Usually, oftentimes, when they get sick, when they get sick and feel really bad, that's the time they go to the doctor and check.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer when she couldn't anymore, when she was already throwing up because there was already a blockage.
A build-up of toxin and waste material in her body.
There was
Blockage.
already a blockage.
Okay, so was she able to overcome that for good?
Yes, she was in remission for 10 years.
So 60 less than 70.
Yes.
And then when was she afflicted with this last bout with cancer?
When she was 71.
71. Okay.
So
what type of cancer?
It's actually a lung cancer. So the cancer,
Lung cancer.
Yeah.
Was she a smoker?
no, she
So
wasn't.
it's a case of a passive smoking?
No, she was.
It's
no, my
just the
father.
cancer.
My father was. I mean, no one is smoking in the house. I think it's cancer is like this. When you are diagnosed with cancer, you can be in remission for 20
Yeah.
years, but chances are
It can
it
transfer.
can transfer to another part
Yes.
or organs of your
Yeah.
body.
Yes.
So we have to really be realistic that once you have the cancer, it's not that I'm becoming pessimistic
Cancer-free.
here.
Yeah.
Yes, but we have to be really realistic in a sense that once you have a cancer cells in your body, there is a chance of getting it back.
Okay, so 71, she had cancer, and did she overcome that at age 90?
Yes, she's 90 now.
Unbelievable. So
She-
she is free of cancer of the lungs?
she's free. I mean, yes.
Oh my goodness. This is
It's
this is
a
the first
miracle.
time I've heard
Yeah, it's a
of
miracle.
such a story.
Yes.
So she must have very strong DNA, a strong spirit. What kind of treatments did she undergo? Did she have?
She went actually first with her cervical cancer. She went to cobalt. There was no chemo at the time, and then when she had her colon, she went to chemo for a year. And with her lung cancer, she didn't go through chemo.
Nothing.
Nothing
No intervention.
because no intervention because the cancer cells just grew on top of her lungs and
Yeah.
they just cut the tip of her lungs.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's it.
That's
So
it.
now at age 90, she's cancer free, but you're not really
Cancer free, in remission.
in remission.
Yes.
Okay.
So she's still alive, but of course the old age is getting a toll in her body.
Uh-huh.
So, but then she's
Lucid.
still alive.
Lucid at 90.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually saying that you develop cancer because it is familial. It runs in the family. Do you have other siblings with cancer?
I have some nieces. I have some uncles. I have grandparents. The brothers and sisters of my mother. Yes, it's very, very
Pervasive in your
yes,
family
in my
line.
family. Yes.
And yet, you don't inherit cancer per se, but the predisposition, the
We don't.
tendency.
Yes, we don't. But if your family has a history of cancer, chances are you can get it.
you are more likely
More likely
to
to get it.
develop or to
Yes.
have cancer
Mhm.
than, let's say, an individual with no family
No fun.
history of
Yes.
cancer at all. But you see, given the lifestyle that we Filipinos have now, DNA or is no longer a factor because cancer has become epidemic
Epidemic.
in its incidence. So let us dig somehow into your life history. There are findings, consistent findings, that cancer is brought about by stress, high stress.
I agree with that.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So, what about you?
Okay.
You when did you develop cancer?
Actually, if I will go back to my life, I lost my dad when I was 16,
16?
and my family struggled, and I got married at a young age.
Oh,
And for
what, 18, 19?
No, 20, 20.
20.
Yes. And all those 22 years of marriage, it was not a marriage made in heaven. I mean, every one of us has our own problems. So, and then I lost my husband at the age of 41. Taking care of 4 kids was not easy.
Okay, so this is just an observation data, but, and it's what you could call qualitative data. But I do note that practically all women who develop breast cancer and are married have this internalized strong sentiments, internalized anger, resentment against their husband. Hindi sila kapautwas. Siguro they are the Maria Clara, although that no longer exists. But there are women really who would rather keep things to themselves and not wanting to disturb, the family peace or what have you.
Or
But,
honor.
or maybe the husband is too strong, too dominant, too overbearing that she's scared to express pautwas. Were you like that?
Well, if I will recall, I never share my problems to my friends except the family of my husband. I did not even share it to my own siblings or to my family.
So gintago mo lang?
Yeah, I kept it
Oh,
in my
you
heart.
married young. In fact, you are not from Bacolod.
No, I'm not from Bacolod.
And it was, what kind of marriage? Parang dali-dali lang.
It was a whirlwind kind of relationship.
Whirlwind kind of
Yes.
relationship. You didn't really know the man. You were married to him. You didn't have real, close friends in Bacolod.
No.
And
No.
your family is not here.
My family.
Is
my-
in Cagayan de Oro.
Yes. I grew up in Manila. My mother is from Luzon. My father is from Cagayan de Oro. But my father lived most of his life in Manila as a politician.
In Manila as a politician.
Manila, yes.
I understand, if I remember right, that he was a key official cabinet member of the Quirino or
Now, he was very
Macapagal.
close to the President, Diosdado Macapagal.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he was in the cabinet, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So how did you get to be in Bacolod? Cagayan de Oro, Manila, and you are of the Lopez Padilla.
Yes,
That's
my
why we
mother-
have some kind of affinity.
Yes,
Lopez women
yes.
always connect well.
Yes. What happened when President Marcos won as president in 1963, 67, 66, 67? Yeah, we moved back from Manila to Cagayan, where my father came from. And then, after that, we lived there until my dad died, year 1971. So my father was very prominent and my mother was very generous. So we have all those
Combination,
widows,
politician,
yes.
plus mother
So-
who's very generous.
Yes. So our house was like a haven for widowers with orphans, and my mom opened the house. So But when my dad died, my mother couldn't afford to support or to help other families. So we were forced to move out from Cagayan de Oro to start somewhere else where no one knew us.
Oh.
So we can start in a very, very modest kind of life.
Because you were from a very prominent, well-known family.
Yes.
And suddenly, because of the death of the prime
My father,
supporter.
Yes. My father was a lawyer, and we practically depended on his practice as a lawyer. So when he died, then we lost everything.
You lost. That must have been devastating for a 16-year-old. And at the time, your mother also had cancer.
After a year, my father died.
Year.
Yeah, she was diagnosed with cervical
all the
cancer.
Stress.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you were 16.
I was 16.
And you had to move out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
the city. Okay, so how did you end up being in Bacolod?
Okay, so my mother decided to put up a bakery in Hinigaran.
Hinigaran?
Yes, of all places.
Of all
and
places.
I grew up in Manila. I grew up in a big cities like Cagayan. So I used to study in Santa Teresa, Cebu. Then my mother met me there, and both of us traveled from Cebu coming to Bacolod. And the first time.
Why did your mother end up in Hinigaran? Did she have relatives here?
That was way back 1970.
Okay.
No, 71 my father died. 72, I guess. Yes. Well, my mother has a friend who owns a bake shop, the Lisay Bake Shop.
Oh, so it's a friendly connection.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move faster here. So, actually, marriage was not really in your horizon.
No.
Okay. And so you were sort of, sucked into marriage?
What happened was, it was funny. My mother taught us always, when somebody courts you, you have to ask the guy. It's a very traditional kind of way, like protecting us. Like my mother will always say, if a guy is serious with you, if they are not serious with you, and if you talk about marriage, they will run as fast as they could. So that's what happened. When my husband...
You just threw in your mother's one lingo.
It was like I asked my suitor, Johnny, who became my husband, if he was really serious to bring her parents over.
His parents?
To my place and ask for my hand, which I really didn't expect that he will do it.
You were just joking.
I was joking.
So what's the lesson there?
I made a mistake and he was serious, so then...
Okay. Don't, take in your mother's lines, parental lines, line, hook, and sinker.
It was wrong.
Siguro ang ng mother mo lang yun, parang testingan lang, pero she wasn't serious.
But I was serious. I took it really literally.
You heard it as you were growing up.
Yes.
You know, that's one thing about psychology. There is a child, parent, and adult in you. A child, adult, parent in you. That the lines spoken by the parents in your childhood and the interpretation you gave them would be totally different. In fact, your mother didn't mean it that way.
That you will
ask, but then what stuck in your mind and the interpretation you had was literal.
Literal. It was totally a mistake.
So, in a way, looking back, you say, it was a mistake, but of course, in God's sovereignty,
it was part of God's plan.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but the high stress in that marriage, the fact that you cannot pautwas, you couldn't even tell your husband how you really felt?
Well, he knew, but then I think we were really married. He was 26 and I was 20, and I think I was just too young to handle things. And in his side also, he probably wasn't ready yet.
Okay, so at what age did you have is it breast cancer?
Yes, breast cancer.
Okay, so you were married for 20 years or so?
I was married to him for 22 years.
22 years.
Mhm.
So all those 22 years is a built up of stress and
Possible.
yeah, and
Yes.
also you are an activist woman, typical Lopez woman. You just have to make things happen when
Yes.
things are not happening.
Yes.
So you had the cancer at 40?
I had the cancer at the age of, I'm 62 now. It has been 3 years, so I was 59.
59. Okay, the built up was there, no?
Mhm.
So okay, I'll do some fast forward here. How did you then cope with widowhood and having to raise 4 kids,
Mhm.
and then what? Beyond that kind of life, what happened?
I got married again, and then, of course, for all those years, I supported my children, and I believe that I have to send them to school to finish their college so they
Mhm.
can have wings to fly. And all of those things made me the kind of a person never thinking about myself, but thinking only because of my children. So, in other
Thinking
way,
always of other people.
yeah. In other way, I totally neglected my body,
Self. Okay. Your
myself.
body. So you were working overtime, turning night to day?
Yes, I was working in the U.S. first. I had to work a double job. I was working like 16 hours.
16 hours.
Yes, 16 hours. And then later on, I was working full time. And then when my kids came with me, and they were never taught how to do household chores, so I had to take the responsibility to
So
take everything.
you were working 16 hours, you were still taking care of
Later on, I work 8 hours or 10 hours, and then taking care of my kids.
Mhm.
Yes, so that's what happened. I mean, having 3 kids in your house in the U.S. and you have like a 6-year-old youngest son to take care, it's not easy.
Yeah, and being a single parent at that.
Mhm.
So
So I think
you
that
really abused your body in the sense
Yes.
that you did not have the 8 hours sleep that is prescribed. You did not eat healthy.
How can you eat when you have to work? I was
Work?
in sales, and usually my lunch, I
Is
can
what?
have it like at 3 in the afternoon.
Spam.
I mean,
Hamburger.
I do eat
But you ate what?
Chinese food,
Chinese
comfort food.
Comfort food full of vitsin, oil.
The panda, panda
Okay.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So again, the lifestyle, no?
the lifestyle. Although I never drink, I never smoke.
Yeah.
I never stay late at night. I sleep early, but then in the States you can't sleep early because you
Yeah,
have to
that's
work.
why I couldn't last myself. Because after working hard, when you go home, you
have
still
to
have
take
to
care-
cook.
cook.
You have to do the laundry.
Yeah.
You have to take care of the kids. Wow,
Mm.
that is high stress.
It is very high stress.
Okay, all of those accumulated, not
Yes.
accumulated, because everything is accumulated.
Yes.
What we sow in our body, we will reap
Mm-hmm. Totally.
sooner or later. So how did your second marriage make a difference?
Well, I would say the problem did not lie between me and my husband. It's more of my children and my husband. The thing is, my husband has no children. So it's hard for him to relate. And another thing, the cultural difference.
Okay, so it's another stress. It's
Yes.
continuing stress. One type of stress,
Another type
Another
of stress.
type.
Yes.
and so finally, when did you discover that you had cancer, breast cancer?
When I came back here 2008, when I was in the States, I had already this feeling like every time I wake up in the morning, I get so tired. And half of my body, the right side, were like bloated. I can see my fingers bigger than my other left hand. So I had a checkup there. They did all the tests, but they couldn't find it. And later on, I found out that when you have a cancer cell in your body, and if it's not really that big, they won't be able to
Detect.
diagnose or detect.
Because after all, we have cancer
Yes.
cells. It's just a question of the runaway growth
Mm-hmm.
of the
That's
damaging
true.
cells, the bad cells, right?
Yeah. So 2008, I came here. All the
And you had the house built, which
Yeah.
we saw and featured.
Oh, and then everything was, it was never diagnosed. I did my mammogram here since 2008 until 2013. That I was surprised that there was already changes in my breast. So I asked one of my OBGYNE if she can check my mammogram, because their findings was like it was just a fibrosis, which is a fatty tissue. Because I gained from 120 pounds, I gained 20 pounds. So I
this
reached
is,
140. This is 2013.
Different naman kasi usually, how do you detect cancer when you have sudden weight loss, radical
Yes,
weight loss?
yes. So what I found out is, especially for those people who are in their menopausal,
You
we
were
have-
menopausal at the time.
I started menopausing when I was very young. I had premenopausal at the age of 39.
Oh, really?
And then at the age of 41, 42, it all stopped. I had an early menopause.
Because high stress can lead to
Menopause?
early menopause.
Okay.
Okay, so how did you receive the news that you have cancer and it is stage what? 3?
Stage 3A.
Stage 3 na agad. Okay.
Well, it's funny in the sense that I really trust my God. I have a relationship with my Lord and Savior when I was 14.
14.
14. So I know where I'm heading to. And for me, I have been seeking God. And every time I will have my devotional in the morning in our house in Talisay, I can see 3 mountains. And that will remind me of Moses when he went up to the mountain and talked to God. So I have a very good relationship with the Lord. So when I heard and
You were
found
given the
out-
news, the verdict that you have cancer, stage 3.
it was funny because I was so happy.
You were happy.
I was happy. It was so unreal and it was not normal. And I even asked myself, why am I happy? Well, I was happy because I was asking God, Lord, are you going to take me home?
You were happy because you had this sense na, ay, mas maayo pa kay malakat ako, mapuling ako, I'm going to heaven.
I'm going to heaven and I will see my Father in heaven. I will see the face of His, like I will see the glory of His face, and I was just so excited.
You honestly did not feel any tinge of fear
No.
or anxiety?
No, I never felt that way.
Okay.
And in fact, I never asked prayer for healing. No.
But you took practical steps.
I took practical steps,
Like what?
like when my oncology said that I need an operation,
Mastectomy.
mastectomy.
Did you have full, total
No, I
mastectomy?
have one, the
Okay.
right mastectomy. And then I was listening to the findings of the doctors, the oncologists. So I took the step. The chemo, I did everything, the treatment.
All the works.
All the work, 16 chemos, 33 radiations,
Okay.
every day for 15 minutes. So I did all of those things. And prior to that,
You lost your hair.
I lost my hair, my beautiful hair. I took care of my hair and everything. But prior to that, I never asked for healing. I was ready to die.
You wanted to die.
I wanted to die. I wanted to see heaven.
Yeah, it's not because you are desperada, but you're
No.
just so your faith is so strong about the fact that there is life after death,
Yes.
and there is God, and you said you've had that intimate relationship with God even when you were 14, that
Yes.
you were ready to go.
Yes.
Still, you went through chemotherapy, mastectomy, chemotherapy,
Chemo,
radiation. So that was how many years ago?
That was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
3
And yet
years.
you did something else when you discovered that you had cancer. You said, you reach out.
Oh, okay. Actually, what happened is, before I was diagnosed with cancer, I already reached out for the poor children.
The street children.
The street kids, yes.
In the
in
at the
Lagoon.
Lagoon. Yeah.
Yes. That was 2 months before I was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, and if I remember right, you said you were asking why, you decided to come home, but your children are in the States.
Yes.
And so you're asking God, what's the point of this? Why am I here?
Yes.
And what's the meaning? What's the direction? What else?
Actually, what happened when my husband was about to retire, our church, our mother church in California, asked both of us if we can partner with them and start a mission work here.
In the Philippines.
In the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I struggled on that because I have children in the U.S. And I know if I will say yes, then I will be far from my kids. And I prayed to the Lord for 2 years, asking the Lord to lead me in the right path. And God showed me. So the reason why we came back here, purposely because of the mission work. And 2008, we've been feeding poor children in Banago, and in every churches, Christian churches, they will request us if they have a medical and dental mission to cook for the patients. So we did that for 3 years. And after 3 years, the U.S. economy melted down. So we
just
stopped.
to backtrack, you started this ministry 2 months before you found out you had breast cancer.
Yes.
And all through the time you had your operation,
Chemo.
you had your chemotherapy, you were actively engaged in feeding street children.
Yes.
Okay, and this is a very well organized feeding, not just sporadic.
Yes.
Okay,
I did it through calling my assistant. Every day I will call and ask, what to prepare, what food they're gonna serve, and
so
everything.
when you started, you were actually doing daily feeding, right? Or weekly?
We used to have a daily feeding in
Yes.
18th Street
Yes.
for 3 years. Yes, from Monday to Friday. And after that, it was stopped. And then in 2013,
It's no joke because out of compassion, I responded to the very malnourished children that I see walking along our street.
yeah,
But then when they started going to my gate and knocking every day, and the 2 became 4, and the 4 became 6, and then it's a whole barkada, and the word got around.
it's really hard.
I really came to a point of saying, no. This is not for me. This is not for me.
It's not
so I
easy.
admire your tenacity, how you persevered in this. So, okay. So fast tracking,
Okay.
this feeding has now become a very well organized thing. And you saw that even if you fed the children, they grow hungry again.
yes,
They go
that's true.
hungry again. So what did you do?
What we usually do is we only feed them once a week, but we teach them spiritual things. We try to nurture them spiritually.
And
so
as a
teach them.
result, a church has been born out of that.
Yes.
But you also realize that without giving the parents a fishing rod,
Correct.
so to speak,
Correct. So
we're just giving the children bread, giving them bread. It is
It-
not sustainable.
it won't work.
It won't work.
So that's why we started our livelihood programs for the
And
mothers.
you put up a foundation,
Yes.
which we have seen in the video clips before this interview or after this interview that you will see. It has become an organized thing. And lately, can you say that you are now in remission?
Yes.
Okay. But while you have all these things, you discovered something else. And you gave expression to something that has been there all the time. And so we have these paintings here. And I can see how your second marriage has left a real mark in your life, because I can see the theme here, always a couple, 2 birds there, a couple
couple
here.
there.
Now explain to us.
Okay. Honestly, I can't live alone.
Yeah.
I have to have somebody
A partner.
a
Who
partner
loves you.
who can love me and I can love him in return. So this will show, the love birds and the couple here, very close.
Under an umbrella. And marriage should be like that. Your first
Yes.
marriage was not a secure, comfort kind of thing. And under an umbrella while there is a heavy snowfall or
Snow.
rain, you feel warmth and secure. So can you say your marriage is like that now?
Pretty much
Yeah,
because of the Lord.
yeah. And this thing, nobody taught you how to paint.
No,
This started only in July.
started in July.
And then you produce how many paintings?
I think I might have 10, 12.
Okay. And friends, this is amazing. As amazing for me because last July we were just talking and suddenly you said I started painting and I was imagining just this
What kind of painting?
what kind. But then when I saw it, wow, this is no joke. Okay. So tell me, what is this all about? It's nightfall? Is it nightfall?
Yeah, it is a
And
night.
we can zero in the,
Yeah,
paint,
it is a
camera can
nightfall.
zero in nightfall.
Actually, I started painting because I wanted to express my emotions.
Okay.
So this is actually my emotions.
So what were you feeling when you painted this?
Okay, I have a friend who has a house in Murcia, and they took a picture and showed me. I didn't like the picture, it was too gloomy, so I actually, how do you call that?
Recreated
it.
Yeah.
And she didn't like it, she wanted the actual. So the actual, I gave it to her.
Yeah. But this one, how did you see this in Paris, or is it just an imagination?
Well, of course, when you paint, I mean, like, I read some books, I watch movies, so I can see
But
these
you've been to
things.
Paris?
I have not been to Paris. I have not been to Paris, but it's only all in the movies or,
Okay. Yeah.
in the books or
Yeah.
anything. So just trying to imagine things,
Okay.
So this is just an imagination of what an
So
Eiffel
you
Tower
paint
is.
from the images in your mind.
Yeah.
And this one here is also beautiful.
Oh, this one, I would like to share something about this.
What is this?
One morning, I had my
Zero
devotional.
in, please.
This is actually a sunrise.
Sunrise, yeah. You can see the sun rising.
Yes. And I usually wake up between 4 and 5 and do my devotional.
Yes.
And after I was praying to the Lord,
Uh-huh.
I have all that peace, and God led me to paint this.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out so beautiful, and I'm so amazed. And I even prayed to the Lord, Lord, thank you for using my hands, that I can paint this.
Now, you're using these paintings to raise funds for Bacolod
Street Kids Feeding, Training, and Livelihood Program.
Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah. What a woman of talents.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you also are a gifted cook. So, what is your last word? I mean, what would you advise women who are presently struggling with breast cancer, cancer of the cervix, losing hope, losing reason? I recently, just last Sunday, I spoke to an 82-year-old who is now really suffering from cancer of the cervix, stage 4. And I said, why, give me a reason why you want to live on, or do you want to live on, or, and he said, it depends, it depends.
Mhm.
And she is also a believer, but she has lost, hope, not really hope, but a reason to live.
Well, one thing I can really say to all the cancer patients, those who are struggling with cancer as of now, if you have faith in God, you have nothing to worry. Because God said in John 3:16, for God so loved the world, whoever believes in His Son will never perish but will have eternal life. If you have been assured by our God that we have a mansion in heaven, you should not be worrying. Because we have to be realistic. No one will come out alive in this world. All of us will die whether we like it or not. The very moment you were born, you're heading to the grave. So the most thing that I can say is, live your life in accordance to the Lord, serve Him, so you will enjoy your life, and you will be laying up treasures in heaven. And lastly, please start having a personal relationship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because He is the answer of all of these challenges in life. If you have Him, you have overcome cancer, you have overcome the world. So believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Accept that you need Him, and you have nothing to worry. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. And I tell you, Marilu even now is so excited about going home to the Father. And one of her
Yes.
sketches is really a father embracing a daughter. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Marilu,
You're
for
much
gracing
welcome.
our show. And I hope, friends, that you really learned something valuable from her life story. And if you have questions or comments, please call 433-6653, and we would gladly entertain your questions. They will be referring your call to me. And visit us at Seacrest Foundation, 42 13th Street, near Terra Dulce at the back of Huaming. I'll see you again next week, and God bless you.
Amen.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to our new center and to our Thanksgiving and dedication service. We are now cutting the ribbon as a symbol of our formal opening of our ceremony. Thank you, Pastor Dean and Suzette Gamboa. Everyone now, yes, please come, join us, and celebrate our God's faithfulness.
We do acknowledge, O Lord, that this new center comes from you, O Lord. And we are indeed thankful that you have been so faithful. We believe, O Lord, in your words that says that truly the harvests are plenteous, but the laborers are few, O Lord. Lord, we already...
Okay, ang 7 to 8, paano ito maningin yung mag-ina? Sino ito muna sa girls? Ito yung sa boys. Una ka sa girls. Ang first line, di ba lang naging mas Clara Joy?
So, ano ito mga gulahan ang naga? Nagatag. Sa naga?
Payo.
Payo. Tsunami ko dyan po naghahatag. Tsunami ko dyan.
I would like to thank everyone who are here today, and especially the mothers, the children, and my husband who is so supportive. Most of the time I spend my days without him. He's left in the house by himself. But I told him, Chem, I'm sorry. God has called me for something greater. And I would like to thank him personally. Okay, the history of Bacolod Street Kids was 4 years ago, second week of June 2013. My friend Edith Wine and myself made commitment, and also Lindsay Libriana. I don't know if this is Lindsay Libriana, I think it's at the back. When we started this, we went to Lagoon, and there were 7 children that we asked if they want us to feed them. And the 7 kids who used to go around Lagoon happily told us, yes, we will welcome you. So then we started the feeding, but before the feeding, we introduced the words of God. And the first few months, it was sad. On the first 3 weeks, we asked them if they know the Lord Jesus Christ, if they know our God. They said nothing. You can see their faces totally blank. And my heart was grieving for them. I thought these street kids are orphans and no parents. I realized afterwards, these are children who have some parents, but the parents are so unfortunate that they need to go out and find means and ways to support these children. So the children are left by themselves and they go to the streets, and sometimes they get into trouble. I have children coming to me after a few years telling me, Tita, I'm so glad that I know Jesus. We don't steal money anymore, we don't steal things because we are so afraid that Jesus will get mad at us. And I was looking at them with a grieving heart to see the mothers and the children who are so less fortunate. I asked myself, what if something happens to them? When they have not known our Savior, Jesus Christ, they will surely go to hell. They have already sacrificed their lives here on earth. And in their eternity, will they still suffer? And I just cried. I really cried. I said, Lord, you have given me this task. I will sincerely do whatever you will lead me to do. So from 2013 of June, we fed the children. After a month or 2, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at the back of my mind, I said, Lord, we will not stop feeding the kids spiritually and physically. I went to the States, had my treatment. My husband was left, and Edith and Mona. And I was wondering why my husband was complaining, it's so expensive. I didn't realize that from 7, the children grew to 100. And our finances was already getting hurt. So I said, no, we cannot stop that. That is the word of God, and that will sustain. When I came back, Edith Point, the husband, was found, also was diagnosed with cancer. And she has to leave to take care of her husband. I was left alone. I was in the car with no hair. I couldn't still touch the children, but I was watching the children and I cried to God. I said, Lord, what will I do with 100 kids with my condition? And just God reminded me, it's not you, it's me. Okay, Lord, I take the step of faith. Since then, the journey has been really, really tough, but very, very fruitful and very enriching and fulfilling as a Christian. Before I can memorize the Bible, I don't understand how would one apply the word love. And now I realize, if you're a Christian, you have to love and put love into action. And God reminded us only 2 commandments: to love God with all your heart, soul, and spirit, to love one another. How can we love God if we cannot love these unfortunate families that surround us? Let us remind ourselves, when we eat in our table, think of these people who have no food. You know, the kids, when we give them food, some of the mothers will say this is their first meal for this Saturday. It breaks my heart because I have 4 children. And there was a time I was also a widower. I supported my 4 kids and it was tough. So please remember these children as what God said in Matthew 10:42. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward. So if you give a cup of cold water to these little children, you are laying up treasures in heaven which will never rot, and for sure God will reward you. And to all the donors, I would like to have a commitment to you that every centavo you donate to this institution will go back to the mothers and to the children. We have rented this place purposely to really want to be self-sufficient by having a livelihood program. So maybe later on you can ask us about the livelihood program, which we will be starting. Actually, we already starting training the mothers. So hopefully we will be on our feet to be out in the field to praise God and to raise funds for this cause. We actually have one scholar. What we offer is spiritual support, spiritual transformations through Jesus Christ. We offer medical assistance, we offer family assistance, we offer school assistance, we offer burial assistance. Whatever we can afford, we give it back to the unfortunate families. And to the mothers, I love you. I know sometimes I can be strict, but sometimes we have to be disciplined because that is what God wants us to be. I'm teaching you how to be progressive in your life, living an abundant life through Jesus Christ. So I hope you will place that in your heart. And my prayer is the words of God will never come back in vain. I know there are 25 mothers here who are born again Christians now, and there are 80 children who are also born again Christians. So please pray for them as we embark in a new dimension of this worship of our Lord Jesus Christ. And thank you so much for your support. And I hope you won't get tired of my face. So just bear with us. And I would like also to thank the teachers, Pastor John, Sister Eleanor. They're the one in charge of the words. The words are delivered perfectly based on a biblical truth. So we are assuring you that everything we teach here are all based in the words of God. So thank you so much for today, and thank you for joining us in our celebration in thanking our supplier, our God, our Lord and Savior.